This is the Primal Fire Podcast with your host, Jayson the Argonaut. Prior to entering crypto, she worked in healthcare at the largest infectious disease company in the world. Her role consisted of working with newly diagnosed and existing patients to coordinate their care. This included coordinating with a patient load of 300 plus patients monthly between all healthcare providers. In addition, she played a crucial role in implementing a new CRM database and lead training for the new system conversion nationwide. Towards the end of her career in healthcare, Wendy led with integrating social media marketing for her department to obtain new clients. Wendy became interested in cryptocurrency and blockchain technology in 2017 and has been in crypto full-time since the summer of 2018, focusing on providing transparent marketing and media solutions for blockchain companies globally, along with hosting face-to-face meetups and educating the community. That's right. Welcome to the Primal Fire Podcast. I'm your host, Jayson the Argonaut, and with me today is none other than Crypto Wendy, Crypto Wendy, Crypto Wendy, and Wendy is her name. Oh!
Dear Lord, my daughter would kill you for that.
I nailed that. I nailed it the first time. Yeah, this is gonna be a good one, just because I nailed that high note. How the hell are you?
I'm doing good. I'm hyped to be here. I'm hyped to talk. I like talking to new people, talking about different things. So let's get it.
Yeah, we had a little bit of an interesting morning, didn't we?
We did. It was a pretty interesting morning. Crypto community, they're a complete bunch of interesting people, and yeah.
How do you handle it? Because you catch a lot of hate.
Oh yeah, I catch a lot of hate on the daily just because I'm a female in a male-dominated space, and I'm kind of alpha myself, and I speak my mind. I don't really hold things back. I just have learned to deal with it. I was bullied when I was a kid. I had a pretty rough upbringing, so it's like if you want to be in the space, then you just gotta deal with it. I get respect now because I've been in the space for quite a long time, and I've kind of proven myself as a trader, as a chartist, as a business owner, content creator, event host, like just everything that I do. So I still get hate, and there's still some people that doubt me, but I do get a lot of respect from, the people that do matter.
Yeah. I thought that, the other day, because I wanted to start a task force. This is completely random, but this is inside the mind of the Argonaut. I wanted to start a task force that goes out and hunts down pedophiles. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of hard to do because you have to have a background in, hunting people. And legally, I don't. So I wanted to also start an offset of that same task force that goes out and gets keyboard warriors.
You can't do that. It's too hard to do.
But not to hurt them. Just to go scare them a little bit, because
you can't do that though, especially like when we're talking about cryptocurrency and we're talking about people that are that are tech people. They're generally beta males that have a lot of insecurities, and that's why they hide behind the avatars. They're very tech savvy. They know how to hack people and do whatever. So the best thing to do is what I do is I mute them or I block them, and it tends to work, and they tend to leave me alone. And after a while, the internet is an interesting place, because generally after, like, let's say there's a scandal that comes out and like, because people get mad. They used to get mad at me for doing paid promotion, but it's like, I disclose all my paid promotion. I'm not going to leave money on the table. I'm not going to stop doing it because someone with 24 followers is like, oh, you're a scammer because you're doing promotion. And it's like, people forget about this stuff like after, like a week, or it's generally like 7 days, 5 to 7 days, and they forget. It's honestly not even worth it. Just ignore them, because if you think about society and you think about history, there's always going to be people there that are going to try to tear you down and just be ridiculous. So it's just best to ignore them.
Yeah, I noticed. I was thinking about it today, as a matter of fact, because and for anyone who really thinks that I'm serious and I want to go out and hunt down people, I don't. I have better things to do. But that's my sense of humor. But something that I noticed was about myself is that I have never, ever once trolled anyone, ever. Mm-hmm. And I got mixed up a lot of times in the past with responding to these people, and you're not going to change their mind. They're doing it to get the rise out of you. They're not doing it for any other reason than to get the rise out of you. I had a guy the other day. This was very interesting, right? I know it was somebody who knew me. I think it was somebody I blocked in the past. And they just started goading, and they were goading the people that were responding. They were just goading everyone in this Twitter feed. And I checked the account. It was some weird name. They had 0 followers and they didn't follow anybody. They had pretty much made the account that day.
Right.
And they were doing it, and then they kept on, but it wasn't even that extreme. So I was responding, the other person was responding. It kind of became a good time. It was actually the guy, whoever it was, knew how to troll. They were actually pretty good,
right.
But they just had no followers and they weren't following anybody. So then I finally just eventually blocked him or her, whoever. Normally women don't troll. I've noticed that. Women normally don't troll. Women will just come out and say things.
So it depends. Like there's some accounts that I know they're females, but then a lot of females, we get very emotional. So there's like some other aspects to it. But honestly, when you feed into the trolls, it's bringing more attention to them. So that's why it's best from what I found. Unless it's a big account, I'll respond to them. But if it's a small account, I don't even bother responding because it's not going to do me. It's not going to provide a positive benefit for me or my brand, you know?
Yeah. And when I eventually blocked the dude and I noticed that other people were still responding to him, I said, what did he say? So he posted the gif of the little fat laughing baby and said, triggered and blocked, LOL. And I'm like, but who are you tweeting that to? Nobody can really see it other than the people here. But yeah, I just know like today I think I blocked like 8 people. And then
okay, Hotep.
You got that right. And I hit him up the other day and I was like, bro, how do you block people and the tweet stays there? And it must be because his account is older. They've changed it to where if you retweet and block them, it goes away. Because my account is young. I haven't been around since December.
You can take screen caps first and then be like, I'm blocking that. That's what I would do, because anytime their account is like the ad, you can see the ad, it's going to bring attention to it. So if you take a screen cap, it's less attention and less engagement that they're getting.
Yeah, I want to do it because I'm pretty good at the whole play on words. When they say stuff, they'll say, I think this is ridiculous. Not as ridiculous as this block, because you have to add the wording to it because it's fun to do. But yeah, that being said, for those who don't know, the people are going to be probably wondering. I got a great audience, I'll go ahead and say. So I've been doing this since February. I didn't think it would come this far. I got a great audience. I really appreciate them. And the great thing about my audience is that they're genuinely interested. They know they can go to whoever's account. If they want to learn about Bitcoin, crypto, and all that kind of stuff, they can go to your Twitter and they can 100%. See this kind of stuff. They can go to your podcast and it's great. My audience wants to know about the guests. It's really cool. I've had people who have nothing to do with anything that the guests were. And that was a really great guest. I had no idea who they were and I learned something. And that's what I like. So for those who don't know who Wendy is, we were talking about it earlier. I have no idea about any of the stuff that she's involved in. The reason why I found her was I was watching one of the Hotep Jesus podcasts, their podcast. They do on Wednesday nights at 9:30. And it's really great because they talk about current events and relationships and gender dynamics and all kinds of great stuff for an hour, a little bit more. And she just had some really great insight on things. And so I asked her to be on, and now she's here. So for those who are wondering and saying, what's a crypto? Who is Wendy? Is she okay? We understand some crazy white lady tried to burn her down the other day. So now everybody knows who she is. But you had a kind of an interesting upbringing because you don't exactly think like a modern day feminist.
No.
You're very open-minded. You're very set in your ways, but you're not a bitch about it. You're just you have your I hate the word opinions. You have your observations, right? Because nobody cares about my opinion, anybody's opinion. It's just so I hate when somebody comes into a conversation like, I disagree. All right, and it's like they're asserting something. So you had some really great observations on this was back in March probably when I saw this episode. But the funny thing is why I never got really deeply involved into the Red Pill community is because when Red Pill, everything turns into a cult. So long story short about
with the blue too, with both sides it does. When you believe in something so strongly, it essentially turns into a cult. And this goes with religion too. This goes with sports teams. We see it in crypto. If somebody's got a bunch of cryptocurrencies in their bio that they're like fanboying over, or like an NFL team or whatever it is, it's like, I don't want to be defined by anything other than who I am as a woman, Yes. I don't want somebody to be like, oh, well, she likes this, so she's this. No, I just want to be me. These are the things that I like, and I just want to be me. And the things that I like, they kind of mold me. They kind of make me who I am. But at the same time, I don't want to be defined or put in a category of whatever. I'm Wendy, and that's what I am.
Right, because there's so much more to you than crypto, because this is what you do. It's not who you are. With me, it's a little bit different. I'm a fitness coach. It's kind of what I am. I live that,
But that's also like, it's your job, and it's something that's really inspiring. It's something that you have kind of control of, because when you're like super religious or super into a sports team, that's not really who you are. That's just some of your likes, I guess. So I don't know, like fitness and like mental, like, having a certain mental perspective is a little bit different, I think. Cause it's like to me, it's like healthy. Cause some people get obsessed over stuff and they obsess over things. It's not good to obsess over anything at all. It's good to kind of, obviously like we like different things, but you don't want to obsess over something, and you don't want it to feed too much into your personality, cause then it just takes away from who you are as a human.
Yeah. It's, cause I read The Rational Male, and it ended there. The Rational Male it saved my life. So I don't care what anybody thinks about Rollo. I know he says some things that are out there sometimes. Not everybody agrees on everything. It's fine. I read The Rational Male, great book. It put things into perspective, because I, as a male, was bringing emotion into logical situations, and logic and emotions don't mix.
Right.
And the thing about it was, one of the things about the Red Pill community now, one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is because you didn't have your father in your life for a long time, right?
Correct.
Right. So a lot of the things that the Red Pill community, and it's easy to because Rational Male is such a powerful book. I honestly don't put Rational Male in the same category as the Red Pill anymore. I think it's a precursor. You can read it, you can move on. MGTOW, monk mode, all NoFap, all that kind of stuff. It's its own thing. So one of the biggest things with the Red Pill community is avoid her if she tends to be alpha, if she didn't have a strong father figure in her life, if she has tattoos, and all this kind of stuff. And I'm the kind of person where I like to have that open mind, and sometimes N equals 1 is okay. Mm-hmm. As a fitness coach, I try to stay away from it, because certain things don't work for everyone. And people say, well, I'm an ectomorph and I lifted heavy and I got big. Well, you're about the only one, that kind of thing. And it's the same thing in the Red Pill community, that if you've got 3 of the main traits that they're out there telling men to avoid. But my God, you've got it together. You've got a great husband. You've got a great little girl. You got a great family going on, and you're doing really well for yourself. So what's your response? I just want to hear your response to all that.
My upbringing was very unique. I don't know anybody else besides my sisters who have endured or seen or experienced what I have. And I don't like to classify people and kind of put people in categories. Like you can, and that's fine. But until I actually talk to somebody and sit down with them, then I'll be like, okay, well, this person, da, 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 da. And the reason why is, when I worked in healthcare, I worked with HIV/AIDS patients. And everyone thinks when they hear of HIV/AIDS that it just impacts the gay community, which that is 100% not true. We would get all kinds of straight men that would come in that would get tested because they were doing whatever. We would get women that would come in. We would get gay, transgender, lesbian. We would get all kinds of people from all different backgrounds. And you can't just look at somebody and say, oh, well, this person's Black or Hispanic or white, and they're this. Because after you sit and you talk to them and you learn about their life, then it's like completely different than what you thought of them. For example, one of my coworkers, he was a Black man. He was like 6'2", like big Black man, like 300 pounds, gay man, was not HIV positive, but he and I were very good friends. We became very, very close. And it's like, whoever thought that a 5'1", 105 pound white girl would be good friends with a gay Black man from DC that grew up in the hood? Like, who that type generally doesn't mix. And unless you sit and you talk to somebody and hear like how they grew up, their upbringing, then you don't get it. And then I had another client. He came from down south. He came to California because he wanted to be like an actor or whatever, and he was a gay man from down south, and he moved to West Hollywood where I worked, and he was a Republican. He supported Trump. And it's like, who would think that anybody in West Hollywood, which is a very, very blue city and very, very liberal, would be a Trump supporter? So it's like, you really need to talk to somebody. And he was, he had his partner, him and his partner were together for like 25 years, which in the gay community is like impossible because, gay men are known to be very promiscuous for the most part. But it's like, you can't classify people and really put them in a box. You can say, look for this and don't look for that. But really, if you're doing that, then you're kind of shutting your mind down and you're shutting your circle and your network down. And at the end of the day, the most important thing in life and business is networking. I feel like you are defined by who your network is. Like, I have a very strong and very powerful network in crypto. And because of my network, it's provided me with a lot of opportunities. That's how I was able to do the show with Potep. I've had John McAfee on my show. I've had Ben Askren on my show. I've had attorneys. I have had people from the SEC. I've had California lawmakers on my show. I've had, I know a lot of different people, and it's your network really is what defines you, I think. And if you close your mind and you're not open-minded, then how big is your network going to be? The larger your network, that's more leverage you have. So when you're making a business deal, you can say, like, when I have clients that come to me and they want marketing or business development, I say, oh, well, I can hook you up with this company and I can do an intro for that, an intro for that. And sometimes I'm able to get a longer contract extension because of my intro or because of my network.
That's pretty awesome. How long did it take you to get your network to where it was?
I worked really, really hard for it. It took about a year, but that was because one of the things that I did is I started doing face-to-face meetups. A lot of people don't think face-to-face is important, but it is extremely, extremely important. There's nothing, like, even with all this COVID crap, people still don't understand how important face-to-face interaction is. If you don't have face-to-face interaction, you're missing out on a lot of stuff. And I'm hoping that society doesn't change too much to where they completely remove face-to-face, because it is important. It's one thing that you actually cannot replace. You can't replace the feel of like hugging somebody or shaking their hand and looking them into the eye. Like, this conversation we're having is great. It's over Zoom. I'm thankful for technology, but at the end of the day, when I meet you, I can't walk up to you and I can't shake your hand and look in your eye when I shake your hand and get that vibe. Like, okay, is this guy a good guy? Is he a weirdo? Like stuff like that. I vibe on people when I meet them in person because I'm an empath, and I get feelings, and I'll get like vibes of a situation and whatnot. And it's easier for me to pick up on that in person.
Yeah, I'm people shit on it, but empaths, they exist, and
mm-hmm.
it can be torturous because because not only that, I think people don't believe in this either, but there's such thing as energy vampires.
Oh yeah. Oh, and you gotta stay. Can I cuss on this show?
Honey, you can do whatever you want. They're all marked with an E automatically.
You have to stay the fuck away from people that drain your mental capacity, because if your mental capacity is drained, it's taking energy away from what your goal is and the things that you are trying to achieve. And the thing that's hard about it is because we have some family members that are toxic, and I grew up around women, all women. My aunt was a very intelligent, smart woman, but she was so toxic, and I didn't understand about negative thinking at that age. I just thought my aunt is so cool. She's a musician. She's so smart. I want to grow up and be like her. But I didn't understand she was a miserable bitch. And I love her to death. And, when you're family with somebody, it's hard to get away from. But now as an adult, I just don't really go around her because I don't want to hear about the negative. Because anytime I'm like, oh, well, Bitcoin this or crypto this or my business this, she's like, well, what about this? And, this doesn't help me and blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, God helps those that help themselves. If you want to get out of a rut, or if you're feeling like shit, you pray on it, you meditate on it, you do what it is, you change your life around you. But if you're not taking these little steps to improve your quality of life, I don't want to be around you. I don't have room for it.
I agree. And one of the saddest things, and it's not always from a place of toxicity, but one of the saddest things is that our less likely supporters are usually family and friends. And
that's very true.
Yeah. And it's usually a lot of the times because they want you to be safe. They want what's best for you. Go to school, get a job, get 401k. And anytime you say, you know what, I'm going to start my own business. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah, that's how it is. Like, my mom, My mom was very conservative financially just because of all the stuff that happened, like with my dad and the way her life went. So I was very scared for a long time. I still catch myself being scared about stuff, but I'm like, you know what? I've got money in the bank. I've got the emergency fund. Let me take a chance and, let me dive into this, because my mom was not very like I would come and I would tell her stuff and she's like, oh, okay, that's cool, but she wasn't very like supportive or like, this is amazing. So I make it a point when like I'm talking to my husband or like a friend or maybe my daughter, I hype them up. Like my daughter, like every morning when we wake up, I just spread the positive affirmations to her. She'll grab my face and she'll be like, Mama, you're smart and you're pretty and you're going to pass class, or you're going to, whatever it is I'm going through, she'll repeat that stuff back to me. And it's just important to hype somebody up. And like my husband, he gets in moods. He's super moody sometimes. So I make it a point to tell him nice stuff. Sometimes he doesn't tell me nice stuff. And I tell him, I'm like, you need to be nicer to me and you need to hype me up. And then he'll be like, oh, and I'm like, no, that's what you need to do. So you're going to do it. But it's important to hype people up and to kind of feed that positive energy, because if you're hyping somebody up and you're putting that positive energy on them, it's good for them and it's good for you, because it's teaching you to be a nice and caring person, because life is like, it's really about helping other people.
Mm-hmm. And, speaking of helping other people, was it your plan to just go into healthcare?
No.
You just ended up there.
So I was a hot mess when I was young. I had a lot of issues because my dad died when I was 11 years old. Sometimes I mix some of the dates up because the way I deal with grief and the way I deal with pain is I just completely shut down and I just forget. I wouldn't remember the day my dad passed away if it wasn't on Christmas Eve. That's the only reason why I remember, because it was on Christmas Eve and we were supposed to go stay with him that weekend because we didn't see him for quite like a month or so, whatever it was. So that's the only reason why I know. If it wasn't Christmas Eve, I wouldn't know. So I just kind of the way I deal with stuff, it's not that I forget it. My mind just blocks it out because I just don't want to deal with it. So what happened was I was like a hot mess. Like I hung out with musicians growing up. I lived in Hollywood, lived a really ridiculous life. And my friend I was living with at the time, he was like, you need to get a real job, because I was working at like clubs and bars and stuff at night. And I was like, I don't want a real job. He's like, well, you can't live here if you're not working. I was like, okay. So we're getting the car wash. I was young. I was 20, I think. Well, that's not really young, but he's like, so we're on Sunset Boulevard. There was a car wash. There was a thrift store across the street. He's like, go play there. You like thrift stores? Cause I love thrift store shopping. It's like a therapy for me. It makes me happy. If I can get something for like $1, I'm like, yay, I'm excited. Cause I'm kind of cheap. So I went and I am, but I'm cheap, but you know what? I was able to purchase a home at the under 30 in California, which is very hard to do. Most people cannot do it because it's so damn expensive here. And so I went and I applied for the job at the thrift store and they hired me. And then I realized and it was on the west side, which is really far from where I am. And I realized that they had healthcare because I didn't know. And they're like, oh, well, we'll pay for your education if you go back to school, like for education, healthcare or education reimbursement. I was like, really? And so I was looking at the different opportunities that I could do. And a lot of it, like healthcare, it's trade school. And they give you like they gave you like up to $1,000 a year. And it just happened that the pharmacy tech school was, it was $1,000. So I was like, okay, well, I can borrow money from my mom to pay for this, and then they'll reimburse me, and then I can pay my mom back, because my mom, she was good for that. She would loan me money if I needed it, and I would always pay her back. So I did that because it was just it was what I could afford. It was like an opportunity that was there. So then I worked in the thrift store for like 2.5 years. I did my extern hours at the pharmacy that was part of the company. They had hospices and doctor's offices and whatever. And then I did that, I passed that. And then I got a job right away. Like double, I think I was like, they started me off like $15 an hour and my salary was like $7 at the thrift store. So I was like, this is freaking cool. So I had no idea what it would be like working with people who were terminally ill, people that had a lot of mental issues and a lot of personal problems. So I had no idea. And my experience from being on the streets, because I was homeless at one time, that helped because I was able to relate to all these different people from all these different backgrounds. And then I just I made it made it it was just like, I felt like a family to me almost. And like, I got a lot of pleasure out of actually being able to help and relate to people that society didn't want, society didn't care about. So the fact that I was able to talk people off ledges sometimes, make sure they got their medication, make sure like they would come in sad about a breakup or sad because they're newly diagnosed or whatever personal problem it is. The fact that I was able to sit down and talk with them for like 20 to 30 minutes and improve their quality of life just by being nice to them, that was like probably the coolest thing about the job, despite all the corporate structure and all the bullshit that went on with upper management all the time and the way I was treated at work. So that was like a really amazing experience that many people cannot say they have. Because even in crypto, when I'm like, oh yeah, I worked with HIV AIDS patients, people are like, they look at me like that because it's still kind of a taboo subject and they associate it with gay males. And it's not just gay males, it's literally everybody. If you have unprotected sex, you're putting yourself at risk because you don't know what that person is doing. Like, and you would be surprised the type of people that would come in and get tested and said, I accidentally slept with a prostitute, or I accidentally did this with this person. It was always an accident. Like I had drank too much and I did this. And these are married men. They were married women. They were like people, because West Hollywood is a very expensive neighborhood. Like they have $1 million homes there. And these are people that you would like think that are high class members of society, but they're like kind of cringy and gross.
Yeah. And I've noticed both in my line of work and outside of it, that a lot of times the cringiest people are the high end people.
Oh yeah.
They got that darkness that you just don't normally read about. It's just a different level of deep ingrained darkness. And it comes from a really shoddy place. And the other thing about that is when they come in and say, oh, I tripped and fell in her vagina or whatever they say.
No, it was generally a straight man that tripped and fell on a transgender's dick or whatever it was.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, that makes sense.
They accidentally fell there, or accidentally, had oral sex or whatever it was, but it was always somebody with the same sex. And it's like, that's fine. Like, I don't kink shame. That's your business. You want to get off that way. Cool. But don't come in and don't be telling me, oh, I did that, it was an accident, whatever. It's just like, I can see through your bullshit. Just stop. Like, I'm not going to judge you.
Taking ownership's difficult. And
the moment that you can take responsibility for a positive or negative action is the moment that your life will change for the better. When you can sit back and because I did a lot of shitty stuff when I was younger because I was young, I was stupid, I was angry, I was mad. But now if you say, Wendy, why did you do this? And I can tell you, oh, I was an idiot and I was selfish and it was wrong what I did. This X was wrong. And I'll tell you that right away, like, this was wrong what I did. And I hate, because I'm a Leo, I hate being wrong. I hate admitting that I'm wrong. I hate admitting that I'm at fault. But now I apologize to people for my behavior if it was me that did it. And I take ownership for the bad things that I did or the mistakes that I made. But before I didn't do that. And once I started taking responsibility and not making excuses up, then I started to become happy. Then a lot of the anxiety and the depression and the mental illness and all the strife and the pain, it's still there. But it started to kind of alleviate, and it came to a place to where I was able to actually manage it and, still be happy despite all of the terrible things that I endured. Some was self-inflicted and some wasn't self-inflicted.
Yeah, I fell in that trap of having too much pride to admit when I was wrong, especially in relationships, because I've had some questionable relationships. I always went for the woman who was, I did not vet because I was actually looking for the one that was wrong. The dangerous women, the crazy ones, the hypersexual ones, whatever that I shouldn't have been, that I just shouldn't have been messing with. But it doesn't matter how bad the other person is. It still takes both of you to fuck it up. Exactly. It's not just one person. And, with me, I can only speak from a man's point of view. I can only speak from a straight man's point of view. It's like people will ask me, well, how old are you? And I'm like, 35, 40, 41, how old I am when they ask me, why are you single? Because women are crazy. And they're like, well, men are crazy too. It's the first thing they say. Well, men are crazy too. Yeah, but I'm not single because men are crazy. Now, if you can I call this social algebra. If you can think before you speak, right, you work the problem backwards to figure out why the problem exists in the first place. If Carol was to come to me and say, why are you single? And I say, because men are crazy. She'd say, I'm sorry. So you're gay? No. doesn't make any sense if you do that social algebra and do it backwards. So it just gets kind of rocky when people are trying to use their hubris. So whether you're a woman or you're a man, in my case, like I say, I can only speak from a man's point of view. We as men are, and Hotep and I talked about this last week, we as men are expected to carry the world on our shoulders. We can carry ownerships for our fucked up relationships. We can do that. And a lot of times I'll be one of the first people to admit I'd probably get crapped on by the red pill community. That's perfectly fine. But 99 times out of 100, I think when things screw up and there's a male involved, it may not be the male's fault, but it is his responsibility. That's just how I feel.
In a way, it depends, because a lot of women are fucked up and they're very manipulative. So to be honest, each scenario is different. That's why I don't really like to make general assumptions, because I'm not perfect. And there's some stuff I do that is like, sometimes I'll be like, I'll say something to somebody and I'll be like, oh shit, I can't believe I said that. I should probably DM them and apologize that I said that. Or, like even with my dude, like sometimes I just go ham on him and I'll say whatever, and I'll come back and I'll apologize to him for being like a crazy person. So it depends. But I like the idea of having an alpha man and having a strong man around. Like me personally, just because I grew up without a father and I've got like the daddy issues and stuff like that, it's important for me to have a strong man around, because if I don't have a strong man around, then I'm gonna go wild. I need someone to be like, well, it's time to go. It's time to go. I need that type of guidance. And I know I need that type of guidance because I'm a human and I've got weaknesses and I've got things that I'm not the best at. So it's nice to know that I have like a strong foundation. And I'm a very independent woman, but at the same time, I realize a man's role and how important it is to have him not tell me what to do, but to kind of guide me and be like, this isn't a good idea, or, we need to get home, or you shouldn't be out this late, or whatever it is, That makes sense.
Do you think at this point in time in your life, if you didn't have your little girl and you didn't have a strong husband figure, do you think you would just be completely off your rocker at this point?
I don't know. I don't know, just because I don't know. I don't know how my life would have been, how different my life would have been, because my husband is not a saint at all. At all, in any way, shape, or form. He is not a saint. He is a royal pain in the ass sometimes. Like we beef, we fight, because he's like super, super alpha, to where he's got to be in control of everything. Like he's got to have his shoes away. He has to have, if there's dust, he's got to make sure the dust isn't there. Just like small little stuff. And he'll get pissed at me sometimes, to be like, why didn't you do this, or why didn't you do that? I was like, because I didn't fucking have time. That's why I didn't do it. And he's like, oh, well. And then he has that nasty attitude the rest of the evening. And like after 6 p.m., he's like, don't talk to me after 6 o'clock because I'm tired. I was like, okay, well, I don't want to talk to you either. So, it really just depends. I don't know where the direction my life would have went. There are some things, it's not that I regret not doing them, but I shouldn't have stayed at my job as long as I did. I should have like found another job that was closer to home. But at the same time too, if I would have changed anything up the way I did it, my life wouldn't be the way it is now. And I'm at the stage in my life where I'm very close to, I'm on the verge of doing great things because of everything that I've laid down. And I just need to, right now, I'm just focusing on the good stuff and now I'm in control, and I'm confident enough to where I can mold my life the way I want to do it. And that's on me, not on anybody else.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I really admire about you, is that this is where you're going right here, straight ahead. The blinders are on. It's right through the tunnel. Tunnel vision, the phrase tunnel vision gets a bad rap, but it's of utmost importance, especially this day and time. And you had said something yesterday that I had commented on. I told you I'll see at the top, because you were like, you know what? People still, I'm paraphrasing, people still have this same mindset. These people are still amped up about shit that doesn't matter. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go over here. I'm going to focus on me. I'm going to get stuff done. I'm going to get successful, wealthy, all that kind of stuff. And you know what? These people can still have it. That's the reason I got off Facebook, because I watched people for 4 straight years do nothing but hate the same individual with no explanation, and really they didn't even know why. They just, because the media told them to and social media told them to.
This is the thing, though. This is the thing. There's a lot of people, when we talk about politics, there's a lot of people that are fucking mad and salty about whatever it is, but they're willing to stay on the internet and sit on their fat asses and complain and whine and bitch about X, Y, and Z, but they're not out there going to local government meetings. They don't care enough to do that. They just want to sit in their little ivory tower or whatever the fuck it is and whine and complain and bitch and make everyone miserable. So it's like, really, like, you're gonna, like, to me, that's wasted time. It's wasted time doing that, because it's like, go start a business, start an eBay store, start an Amazon store, there's little things you can do online to make money. It's like, money and time make the world go around. And if you're not accumulating time or money, then what the fuck are you doing? Like, yes, I'm not perfect, you guys. I'm not perfect at all. I catch myself being petty with people, arguing with people that have issues with me. And it's like, sometimes I need to catch myself and get out of that mindset, because I am human, and be like, you know what? Fuck you. Do what you're going to do. I'm going to worry about me, and I'm going to worry about mine. If you want to come talk to me like an adult and hash this out, or like have an educated conversation, let's do it. Other than that, get the fuck away from me.
That's right. We could actually take it a step further and say they sit in their ivory glass tower.
That's fine too. That's fine too.
With a bucket full of rocks, just throwing them.
Lit them. Because you know what? At the end of the day, these people are not paying my bills. They are not putting my daughter through college. They're not buying her a car. They're not putting food on the table for me. The only person that's able to put food on the table for me and mine is me and mine. And if you're not putting food on, if you're not paying me for my time, I don't want to speak to you. Of course, like, and when I say that, I always have time for people that want to come talk to me and have even if it's a debate, even if they don't, something they don't like what I do, I'm willing to have you come on my show sometimes if it's another colleague in my space, or if you want to have a phone call with me and talk about what it is. Like, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to mentor people. I'm willing to talk to people and help them. But if it's just going to be some like bullshit negativity, like you're an idiot and you're stupid and I don't like what you're doing because I just don't like what you're doing. If you don't have a solution to help me be a better person, just get out of my face.
That's the biggest is you hit that right on the head. There is so much lack of solutions right now. Everybody's got the answer, but they don't have the solution.
Yeah, no, there needs to be a solution. Like in crypto, one of the things that we talk about, and for those of you that have no idea what Bitcoin is basically code. It's digital cash. If you read the white paper or read about the white paper, it's basically digital cash. It's going to replace fiat. But the cool thing about Bitcoin is that there's a limited supply. The federal government right now is printing a lot of money out. It's going to cause inflation. It's going to cause a lot of economic turmoil and uncertainty. So that's the great thing about Bitcoin is there's only 21 million Bitcoin ever made. You don't have to buy a whole entire Bitcoin that's like $10,000 right now. You could buy a part of a Bitcoin, but it is an extremely volatile market. But a lot of people in crypto, because I grew up poor, so I talk about some of the issues with Bitcoin, and people get mad at me. They're like, well, you don't support crypto, and I'm like, no, I do, but I'm just being a realist because I know people that are not tech, because you kind of do have to be a little bit tech savvy to understand what it is. And a lot of people, like people I grew up with, like poor people I grew up with, they have no interest in becoming and advancing themselves and further educating themselves because they're so busy either in school or with their job or with their kids or with their families, and they just want to pay their bills. Like, unless you make Bitcoin as easy to use as a credit card or a debit card or Apple Pay or whatever it is, nobody is going to use it because people they don't care it right now. They just are focusing on taking care of their families. So that's like where I come in, is I break some of these complex subjects down. I talk to people about the importance of Bitcoin. I never tell somebody buy Bitcoin or invest in Bitcoin. I say, go do a little bit of research. And I ask them, what they do for work. I talk about how Bitcoin or the blockchain technology, the technology behind Bitcoin, can improve their quality of life. I give them different ways that they can get started. Most of the time I show them on how to earn free Bitcoin. And there's a great Chrome plugin. It's called Lolly. You have to enter a little bit of information, but anytime you buy something online, a little pop-up will come up and say, okay, we're partnered with this company and we'll send you 5% Bitcoin back. So you can accumulate it that way. And that way it's not really a risk to you. You're not investing your own money. And then you can play around with wallets and different payment solutions and kind of get the feel as to what it is. So, but a lot of people in crypto, they get mad at me about that because they think that Bitcoin is the end all be all, and it's not the end all be all. There's still a lot of problems with it.
Because how long has it been around? I didn't hear about it until literally last year. And I know it's been around since at least 2010, right? Yeah.
So it's been around a while. And there was a couple other things that were very similar to Bitcoin, but different. And it's been around a while, but it's still not ready for mass adoption. And when we talk about mass adoption, we talk about basically replacing cash and fiat with Bitcoin. And it's just, society is not really ready for it because you're essentially your own bank. Banks are not involved in it at all. There's no middleman. The only middleman is the miners that facilitate the transaction, because like, let's say I want to send you Bitcoin. It's called a P2P transaction, a peer-to-peer transaction. Like, let's say that you send me your wallet address and you leave off a little letter, and I'm supposed to send you $1,000 and I send it to the wrong address that you sent me. There's no number you call to get your $1,000.
Oh man.
Yeah.
So
that is a big problem for people. Like, let's say I hire you to do something and you don't get your money, but I already paid it to you. And the mistake was on your end because you sent me the wrong address. Well, guess what? There's no one I can call to be like, hey, can you reverse that transaction? Because it's immutable. Immutable means it's forever. It's forever on the blockchain. It's a public ledger. So, and you can actually, the cool thing is you can pull up the transaction ID after the transaction has been sent, or the wallet address, and it's a public ledger. So you can pull it up on the Block Explorer and you can see all the different addresses or how much money the person has. So it's kind of a complicated thing. It is a great solution, especially for people that are living like in Venezuela or have high amounts of inflation, because Bitcoin is essentially like deflationary. The inflation rate for Bitcoin is like 0.004 or something like that. So it's a really great solution for that type of stuff, but it's just not ready for mass use yet until it's easier to use for people.
Okay. Yeah. I spent so much of my life trying to do things that I didn't understand just to make more money. And when what I was supposed to be doing the entire time was coaching, that's what I do. I've been doing it 15 years and try to move away from it. And then when the whole Bitcoin and cryptocurrency came out and everybody's like, you got to jump on this. I said, you know what? Because I tried to actually get into healthcare. I had someone come to me and they said, and they worked at the college as a professor. And they said, look, you need to get into the RHIT program. It's all online. It's an associate's degree. You can do it in a year and a half. You'll start working from home making $70,000 a year. I said, cool. All right, nice. What they didn't tell me was you have clinicals. It's not all online. So even though you're just a healthcare technician, you still got to go out there and do clinical type stuff. And there was something else I don't remember. But I got into diagnostic coding, passed that, no problem. Got into procedural coding, different monster altogether. So when you're talking about, one letter off and one number off and this kind of stuff, that's exactly the kind of crap I would fall into. I just never, ever got involved in it.
Yeah, I mean, once you get the hang of it, it becomes more and more easy. And there's still things I struggle with because I don't come from a technical background. I come from like a customer service background. I come from a background of providing solutions for people with complex issues. Mm-hmm. So Bitcoin is great, but it's really not for everybody.
Yeah.
So crypto community, you guys can come for me all you want. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, my God, because there's just so many know-it-alls in every single instance. You're not going to get rid of them. And just like the ones that were coming out of the woodwork this morning, if that's all you have better to do, then I'm not going to trust them to tell me anything about that anyway, because I don't see you doing that. I see you with a huge network and very well spoken, very well mannered, I don't know about well mannered, but but you know what you're talking about. I mean, you've established this. I actually watched one of your videos the other night. And you were making sense.
Thank you. I appreciate
everything.
That.
Yeah. I mean, from a guy who knows nothing, but the whole entire wardrobe doesn't make sense to me. It's just, and it may not be for me, or it may be something I could sit down with you for an hour and figure out, because I'll learn HTML and build a website in 4 hours, having no prior knowledge, but I can't figure out WordPress. So it just kind of depends on, what the situation is. So
our minds, everybody's mind works differently. That's why it's so important to have different voices in crypto and blockchain and Bitcoin to kind of break down and explain stuff. Like, I've got a unique way of doing it. There's other people that have different ways of doing it, and I respect them. I try to be less technical because I respect the tech that is behind Bitcoin, but I don't think that majority of people in the world are going to appreciate being talked to that way, or because they're not going to understand. And it's like, I remember like with my clients, like they would take brand new medications and the pharmacist would come over and be super clinical to them. And I'm like looking at the pharmacist like, no, don't talk to them that way, because they don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Just be like, they're using all these big terms for like, don't go in the sun and don't drink this or don't do this. It's just tell them in plain English, like, don't do X, Y, and Z or do X, Y, and Z. Don't use these big terms that they don't know what they're talking about, because you're dealing with a population that some of them are homeless and they don't, a lot of them are not educated and they just want to know how to take their medication and some of the possible side effects that occur. And they want to feel comfortable to talk to you. And if you can't make it relatable to somebody else, then you've failed. You failed your job.
Yeah. Simple's always better. Plain English, even if you're talking to somebody who's a rich, sophisticated bureaucrat, whatever, simple's always better, because they may not know, what you're talking about. Remember that episode, you might be too young for this. There's an episode of Saturday Night Live before it got dumb, where Bob Newhart was on there. And Bob Newhart played a psychologist, and his only answer to everything was, stop it. You're being an idiot. I'm like, well, what do I do if it, and then he would sit back and he would recover and he would get back to, just being really calm and stoic. And they would say another thing. He said, stop, cut it out. Just stop doing that. And even though it was hilarious, it made sense. And the people would always leave. They're like, well, yeah, I guess he's right. It's kind of like Jocko Willink. When some bad shit happens, good. Jocko, how do I quit drinking? Quit drinking. Because people are trying to look way too far into something when the answer is right there. It's like doing a whole bunch of research and reading a bunch of books, looking at a bunch of YouTube. And that's one of the things getting way off here a little bit in left field. But that's the good thing about mentors. You're really better off. You want to learn something, just pay like $3,000 and get a mentor for a month or 6 weeks or however much it is, because it is game changing. Mm-hmm. So do you do that? Do you mentor people?
I need to. The thing with the crypto community is if you charge people for anything, they get mad at you. So you're not allowed. They don't want you to do sponsored content. They don't want you to charge for your time. They don't want you to do any of that. They call you a scammer and they will literally come for you and attack you.
Yeah. Well,
so what I'm going to do is I have a buddy, he's got a website and they have a lot of different like consulting jobs and whatever that you can you basically put yourself on. So I'm going to do that, but I'm going to probably focus on more customer service, because there's a lack of social skills in the crypto community. A lot of these big companies have more money than God, and they don't know how to reach they don't know customer service. So I joke around a lot and I say that you're better off getting a minimum wage job at McDonald's and learning how to speak to people than paying $50,000 for a college degree.
It's interesting you say that.
In some cases,
right.
I support education 100%, but if you look at some of these colleges that are charging $50,000 for a business degree or for a dance degree or something kind of ridiculous that you really can't a business degree will help you in this world, but if you're looking at a lot of these kids that just get out of business school, they've got no life experience and they have no business doing like a high level job, making like $80,000 a year with no people skills at all. That's just me though.
That's one of the things I tell young guys who ask me, what should I do? Here's the thing. It's really all about the first thing you need to be concerned with. This is just what I tell people. You need just, it's the easiest thing in the world is to make money. Okay. We live in a capitalist society. It's the easiest thing in the world. I have worked 2 and 3 jobs before several times in my life. And if I need to make money, I'll go out and make money. I have accumulated a lot of skill. There's a lot of skills out there that you don't need a lot of training. Anybody can cut grass. Anybody can cut down a tree. Anybody can, and these things have minimal investment. So if you're trying to figure out what it is you're good at or what it is you want to do, which may not go hand in hand a lot of the times, sitting around reading about it and watching videos and doing all this kind of stuff and thinking about it is not going to get you there. So if you work and you accumulate the capital, by the time you get 10 or 20,000 saved up, if you're 18 years old, you can do that in 1 or 2 years, then you might have a pretty good idea at that point. And if you want to pay, a few thousand, you sit out there to work and you got some money saved up and you save up a few thousand and you want to go out there and get some stuff taught to you by a professional, I think it'd be the best way to go. But a lot of these kids just don't have, they just don't realize that. It's more research than application. A lot of times they just don't know.
I think a good way for a lot of kids, I think going to a four-year university right straight out of high school is idiotic. I think most people, unless your family has money and your family's paying for it and they have more money than God and they don't care, whatever, I think go to community college first.
Yes.
and start there, because I was actually able to fund all of my community college with the eBay business, because I would go to thrift stores, I'd buy used designer clothing and then resell it in like 10 times my investment or whatever it was in some cases. So I was able to I made like $10,000 in like 4 years. Just like, it was my side hustle, and that money was used to pay for my education at community college. And then I figured out, like, initially I wanted to be a pharmacist because pharmacists make like 120, but your income is capped. And then I realized after I was at community college for like 3 years, like, cause I had to do part-time cause I was working full-time. I realized that, okay, I don't want to be a pharmacist because I'm going to have to spend like 4 more years or 5 more years in school. I'm going to have $300,000 debt or whatever it was. And is it really worth it? So then I switched my major to business, and I wouldn't have if I would have gone to a 4-year college and had a bio degree or started my bio degree there, I wouldn't have been able to afford it. Like I went to college, I got a bachelor's with no debt because of the route, as I took longer to do it. So I think it's important to work full time, go to school, and figure out what you want to do. Because let's say, for example, fresh out of high school, you're going to community college for a business degree, and then you're working at McDonald's, and somebody comes in and you talk with a customer about something, and they're like, oh, well, I do this for a living. And then you get this idea like, oh, instead of business, I might want to go into journalism, or I want to go into fashion, or whatever it is. And there's a good opportunity there. It might help change your route that you went on, and you're able to get more life experience that way. And maybe if you spend an extra year or two at community college, that's fine. But sometimes it's needed for personal growth. And what's the point of getting a job to where you're there at a 9 to 5 and you absolutely hate it? Why not, have a better idea of what you want to do and do a 9 to 5 that you love?
Yeah. I mean, if you absolutely love what you do, so if you work at a bank and you absolutely love what you do, you love being a bank teller. I mean, good for you. You wake up, and I talked about this last week. A lot of people, even if they love their jobs, there's kind of a gray area. Even if they love their jobs, they still find themselves dreading Sunday night. Mm-hmm. So, and it may not just be the job. It may be some instance of the job. But, a lot of times, and I fell into this trap, like I was telling you earlier, that I kept trying all this stuff. I was trying to do all the stuff I wasn't good at just to monetize. I tried to monetize music. I tried to monetize acting. I ended up hating both of them. I ended up hating everything. And a lot of times if you get out there, especially in a customer service position, a sales position, something like that, it ends up clicking. And I learned that I wanted to be a fitness coach working in a Honda plant, because I didn't start working out until I was 23. And I did it to deal with stress. And I started going to the gym. I'm like, this isn't going to work. I'm skinny. It's never going to do anything. And I blew up really fast. And like 6 months into it, people were like, will you train me? Sure. So I started training people, and then I started learning how to coach people. Then they started asking me for other advice. And I'm like 24 years old. I haven't really experienced a whole lot, but I learned I could fire stuff off. And I've worked for marketing companies and, different places. I was always able to sell training. I was always able to sell supplements. I've never been able to sell anything else other than myself as a coach. Mm-hmm. And you have to figure out, but you can't force yourself to figure it out. I think Morgan Freeman figured out he was going to be an actor when he was like 50. I don't know. It was late in life. That's what I tell people. You may not know right now, but sitting around thinking about it and trying crap that you know for a fact you're not good at and know nothing about, like cryptocurrency, it may,
I mean, but it's like you dip your feet in, you kind of feel it out and you see if it's a good fit for you. And like, if you dig it, then you just keep going. And like with my career in crypto, it's just like all these opportunities, because there's not a lot of women in crypto. So that's one of the things that gave me my edges. I'm a female in crypto, and I'm very outspoken. And I started trading and charting and stuff like that. So a lot of people didn't see that. And in crypto until I got there. So I was given a lot of opportunities for that reason. And so I took it and I ran with it, and I just kept getting more and more opportunities. So I'm like, okay, this is chill. Like, I'm just going to keep rolling with it. And that's what I'm doing now.
Yeah. You've done some public speaking stuff, right?
Yeah, so me personally, at a lot of the crypto conferences, some of the people that they have speak have no fucking business being on stage because they haven't accomplished anything. Like,
Yeah.
so I've had people ask me to be a keynote or speak here, and I'm like, no, I really haven't accomplished enough yet to where I feel comfortable. I says, once I make $1 million or once I launch a successful startup, I would love to get up and speak, but right now I'm not ready. So what I do, because it's a disservice to the people that are paying for tickets. It's just a bunch, it's just a bunch of bullshit. And they give people opportunities that literally have no business just because they have titties or whatever. And it's like, I'm not that woman. Like, I want to be recognized for my brain, not for any other assets, because if I wanted to, I could. I'm just not interested in it. I've got a little girl that I care for. I don't want her to grow up and think that it's okay to show her body. That's how you impress men. That's how you get jobs, because that's not what feminism is about. Feminism is being treated equally. Not when I say equally, I'm not talking 100% equally, because obviously there's difference between men and women, but being treated, being paid the same, being on the same level as a man intellectually. That's what feminism is about to me. I still do the dishes. I clean the house. I cook. I do women duties. That's fine. But yeah, I mean, I've been on panels. I've spoken on panels. I've moderated panels. All different types of stuff. That's stuff I feel comfortable doing, but I don't feel like, I mean, if somebody wanted to hear my journey, then I would get up and talk about it. But as far as they want me to give a speech on like something else that's really not relevant to what I'm doing, I'm not doing that. It just makes me look stupid. And I'm not going to get respect that way. I'm not going to get respect for being on stage and not knowing what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine you being an Instagram thought. You don't have an Instagram thought look to you.
I could if I wanted to. I don't want to. Like, I posted cute pictures and stuff when I was like young, like back in the MySpace days, because like I hung out with musicians. I dated a musician. Like, that's just what we did. But I was still never very good at it. And it's just like, I just felt like it was kind of being forced. And I didn't want to be that girl that was like, that I just didn't want to do that. It wasn't really me. And like, one of the women I grew up with, my great aunt, she was a feminist. I don't think she knew she was a feminist, but she worked in she was first generation American. Her family, my grandparents, my grandma was pregnant with her on the boat. They had her here. Then they went back to Italy. Then they came back here. And she refused. She wanted to work. And this is like back in the 40s and 50s. She wanted to work. She wanted to do well for herself. She wanted to travel the world and she wanted to live life on her terms. And it's not that she hated men. She just she wanted to do things on her terms. Like, she didn't want to be like my grandma who got married and had kids. So she worked in a sweatshop. That was her first job. Then she worked over at Chemical Bank. She was able to sweep floors there, worked her way up from sweeping floors at Chemical Bank to becoming a teller. And then from becoming a teller, managing, and then from managing, she trained a lot of the well-known male CEOs and presidents and like some of the top male executives in the baking industry in New York. And she was able to, she made really good money, but because she was a woman, they wouldn't promote her to some of the higher level positions because that's not the way it worked back then. But the idea of feminism that I learned from her is living life on your own terms and using your mind, not your body, to achieve things. Like, she didn't seduce men to get jobs. She wasn't like, of course she went out and she had fun, but she wasn't using her body to get this type of stuff. And there's women that do that. That's fine. That's their business. Like, I like to feel sexy and dress up nice, but I'm not going to use my body to get a job or to make money. It's just not something I'm really interested in doing because I feel that I'm worth more than that. And that's not a shot or a stab at other women. It's just, that's not who I want to be.
Yeah. And it's not a shot or a stab at all, because it really, if you are pretty and you do have a nice face, you have cleavage and all this kind of stuff, it's really not that difficult. Your most difficult thing is finding which filter to use.
And that's good. And like, I support the hustle. I support other women that put their bodies out there. I have friends that were sex workers, that were strippers, that were models. Like, I support all that stuff. Like, if you look good, and you're my girl, I will hype you up, but don't get it twisted and don't say that you don't know what you're doing, because that's, don't be that type of woman that's like, oh, well, I didn't know that if I posted a picture of my titties hanging out that people were going to call me a whore. No, if you post sexual pictures, you're doing it for a reaction, and that's fine. Like, go get your money, but don't be naive about it. Like, there's female rappers that talk about it all the time in some of their rap stuff. It's like, I'm out here posting this and that because I want to make money and I want to get a man that does da 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 da. That's fine. Go get your money. I'm just not that type of person. And people shouldn't be mad at me for me wanting to be different. I don't see what the issue is, because if we were all the same, then it would be more competition for you. And it's that the great thing about being human is we're all different. We all bring different things to the table.
That's the other issue. I'm glad you said that. That's the other issue with the whole, these alpha male wannabes, is that they expect all men to start their own business, and they expect all women to be housewives. And one, that's going to be pretty boring. And two, it's going to be impossible, because here's the thing. Not everyone can start their own business. Not everyone is cut out.
Not everyone is cut out for entrepreneurships. For example, my father-in-law, he was an electrician for like 50 years. He could have started his own business, but he just liked being a worker. He liked being able to get up every morning at 3 a.m., go to work, show up, get a paycheck, go to the bar after work, and go home. That's what he wanted to do. My husband was the same way for a while, but I pushed him because he had aspirations and he had dreams of doing, like, he likes the dirt track racing and all that type of racing. I was like, listen, you want that lifestyle? You need to make more money. You make more money by taking all the skills that you have and taking that jump and doing business. So I had supported him in those endeavors because I knew he could do it. But not everybody's, and he's an amazing business owner, amazing. He was able to keep 20 guys busy working during COVID, didn't cut their hours. So big shout out to him. But not everybody's built that way. And that's okay. You don't have to be built that way. I'm a stay-at-home mom now, and I work from home. And I like what I do. I'm happy with it. I'm happy being a wife that cooks and cleans and does whatever. And I do it on my terms. Like, some days I don't want to. Some days we have a housekeeper now. So like she comes like every 2 weeks or whatever. And, but I pride myself in doing female stuff. Like, I like doing the laundry, and I like vacuuming, and I like cooking dinner. I like to see my man happy when he eats that he ate a good meal. And gives me satisfaction knowing that I cooked this meal. That if we had to, I can cook. Gives me satisfaction having my daughter home with me every day, making her peanut butter and berries and making sure that she's healthy and happy and safe. It makes me feel good as a woman. Like, I don't know if it's my genetic makeup or whatever it is, but it's okay. People take pride in different things. And just because you don't want to do that, you don't want to start your business, you don't want to be a stay-at-home mom, or you have other aspirations, do what makes you happy. Don't worry what other people are doing.
Yeah, it gets to that point, and it's from both sides. Men do it. They have expectations of other men. They have expectations. And it's okay if you want to help guide. If you're a man, you want to help guide men, fine. Don't tell them what they're doing. It's wrong. Like me, I had alcohol addiction for a long time. You'll never see me say, if you see me say this, call me out on it. You'll never see me say, don't drink. I'll tell you my experiences, and I'll tell you why I think it's a bad idea, but I have to avoid that hypocrisy. Again, glass houses. But there comes that time where people are telling other people of the same gender and the opposite gender what to do, how they should do it, things of that nature. There was a big shit pot stirring about when a lot of people were posting women should have long hair, women should have their nails done. I think even Zuby did it one time.
Oh yeah, Zuby's awesome.
I know, but he did the same thing, and he caught so much shit. And he's so stoic. He's like, guys, I said what I said. It's whatever. But I think people they're very black and white about everything. It's like we talked about earlier. You got an alpha girl who does her thing. You got a business degree. You're against four-year universities for shit reasons, for the sake of just going to them. You have tattoos. You didn't have your dad for most of your life. And here you are enjoying being traditionally feminine.
Yeah, I like it. For a long time, and let me say this, for a long time, I didn't embrace my femininity because I didn't really know. My mom she did the best she could with 3 girls, but it's like when you grow up without a dad, you don't have a man telling you, oh baby, you look pretty, or stuff like that. Because we always tell my daughter, her brother, she's got stepbrothers and she's got uncles, she's like the only girl on his side of the family. So it's like she has males telling her all the time like how smart she is and how pretty she is and stuff like that. And that's important for women. That is important for women to grow up and having that man's voice hype them up. I didn't have that. So when I was growing up, I just thought, okay, well, I need to show my body to get attention from men. No, you don't. That's not, you don't have to, but I didn't know any better. And so I didn't embrace my femininity for a long time. I did a lot of kind of masculine stuff because I felt like I needed to like cause I'm the oldest there's 3 kids. I'm the oldest. I felt like I needed to take care of my sisters and to protect them. So I didn't really focus on being feminine because I felt awkward. I thought I was ugly. I thought I wasn't very confident. But then finally after I got into crypto, I started feeling more feminine. I'm like, I can embrace this femininity, but I'm going to do it on my terms. And I'm going to do it the way that makes me happy. So now I feel more feminine. I've always had long hair, but it's like, I think it's important like for women to feel beautiful and to feel sexy and to feel pretty, but without doing something that can jeopardize not necessarily the way people view them, but like jeopardizing respect. Cause everybody should respect each other. But obviously if you're going to be out there acting a mess, you're not going to get respect, and you can't demand respect when you're acting a mess. So I like to get my nails done. I like to get my lashes done. I like to wear a little bit of makeup. I like my long hair. My long hair makes me feel feminine, and that's me. But to each their own. They can do whatever they want to do. Just because a woman doesn't have long hair doesn't mean that she's not feminine, but because some women look better with short hair, but I like my long hair. It makes me feel pretty to have long hair. So
you do have gorgeous hair. And I mean, and if there's one thing I know, it's hair. But and I'm glad you brought up what you just said. I saw this the other night. I had no idea that you could go get eyelashes glued on.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. You go, you pay like $100 and they put, a lot of women have the fake lashes and you get them done. I used to not get them done, but now because I'm on my dad's side, they're Romanian, German, Jewish, I've got really dark circles underneath. It's just a genetic thing that I have. And when I wear black mascara, it just never comes off. And so it makes the bags look bigger. So with the fake lashes, they just stay on all the time, and they stay on for 2 to 3 weeks. And I go and I get them fixed, and I can go to the beach. I can go wherever. I can even wake up and I feel pretty. I feel feminine, and that's okay.
Yeah, I thought they were actually yours for the longest time.
No, these ones are not mine. During quarantine, I didn't have them because they came off. But I started getting them again because the lash place is open, and I support small businesses. But if a woman wants to get like fillers, or she wants to get a boob job, or extensions, or whatever it is to feel more feminine, I support that. Go do it. Do whatever makes you happy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely support it as a male. I dated a girl a while back who had fake boobs. I'd never dated a girl who had fake boobs before, and it's not that big of a deal. It's really not that big of a deal. They just sit up and they're there, and you can tell, but there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's
there's
like
not. I think that it's a very beautiful thing when women and men, when a human being takes care of their body and they take pride in it. Like sometimes people can overdo it and they do too much, but if that makes them happy, then let them be happy. Like I like a man who cares about his physique, who gets up and runs, or whatever it is, that takes care of himself, that eats kind of decent. Like that is very attractive to me. To me, that's alpha, because if you love and you respect yourself, that's going to kind of resonate and shine onto your partner. That's going to help them be better people. So I support it. If a woman wants to get a bigger booty, get your bigger booty. Like whatever makes you feel happy and comfortable and good, just as long as you're good and you're mentally healthy, do it.
Yeah, I think anybody who, if it's your right, no one has the right to tell you that you, I don't know if insecure is the right word, but no one has a right to tell you that you shouldn't be insecure about something, as long as it's not destructive and causes destructive behavior. But if you don't like your nose, or you don't like your teeth, or you don't like your boobs, or whatever, then you got every right in the world to go get them fixed. You got every right in the world to go show them off, take your Instagram selfie and say, look, this is what I got done today. And nobody has a right to come bombard you. They will, but I don't know, man. I just don't get anything out of crapping on other people and what they do.
Me personally, whatever you want to do, I don't care. But it's like, if you're going to act a certain way too, and you're not going to show that you respect yourself, you can't expect other people to respect you. So don't act shocked when someone is like, don't act shocked if you post a bikini picture and people are coming for you and they're mad about the bikini picture, saying, you're doing this for this or da-da-da. Because, you're posting it for you to feel good about yourself, but you're also posting it for attention as well. And that's fine. But don't get mad and don't get your feelings hurt when people come and say whatever to you.
Yeah, I didn't. I got shadow banned from Instagram and Facebook. I used to do boudoir photos,
Mm-hmm.
and when professional photographers come to you and say, "Look, I want to shoot you. I want to do a shoot with you, and I want it to be nude," I'm like, "All right, whatever." And this was back when I was really jacked, but I had worked really hard on myself. I never took drugs. I ate fairly well. I did the best I could, and I had body dysmorphia because I'm lanky by nature, and I did these shoots, and the people who the people who crapped on it were pretty much insecure males. That's it.
Right.
They would make little snide remarks. And to be quite honest, my biggest fan base for these photos were straight males. They're like, bro, these are great. Are you going to do any
Right.
more? I had women asking me for calendars and all this kind of stuff. And that stuff is what trumps the negativity anyway. Because normally 99 times out of 100, you're going to get more positive feedback than you are negative feedback anyway.
And
so.
just ignore the negative feedback, but it's like, you can't, and just ignore it. Like, do you, whatever, like no one and the thing is, if somebody doesn't like what you're doing, who cares? Just keep doing what you're doing. If it makes you happy, that's fine. But you can't expect to do something and have people, no one has to like or agree with what you're doing.
Exactly.
And if they don't, move on.
That's right. Because it's the reason I discovered you. How did you hook up with Hotep Jesus?
So I found out he was a crypto person, and I think I forgot how it was. I see different stuff on my timeline. So I found out he was a crypto person. I was like, oh, okay, this dude is cool. So I followed him because he had a big account. And I was like, I want to get you on my show. And he didn't come on my show because of my YouTube numbers are still growing. And then he eventually followed me because I would comment funny stuff under his thing because because the crypto community is ridiculous. And they tried to argue with him and whatever. And then he ended up following me. And then he posted something about relationships doing a thing. And I was like, yeah, I want to do it. He's like, you serious? I was like, yeah, let's do it. So we did the first one, and then we just kept doing it because it just has gone well so far. So we're just kind of putting content out every Wednesday night until it's just not fun anymore, I guess. We don't really have a schedule. I come up with the content. I'll go through my Twitter feed and see some stuff in the news. So I'll send it to him. It's like, okay, let's do this. And then I do all the clips and stuff like that. And it's doing okay. So we just keep doing it. And it's a nice break from Twitter, from crypto.
Yeah, you guys have a good dynamic. That's what. Because I didn't because he followed. I had a very small account, but I was putting out. This is just what he told me. I was putting out content that I try to stay as genuine as I can. I'll crack jokes. I'll do stuff like that. But I think I had 500 followers when he followed me back, and I said, "Hey, I'm gonna get you on the podcast." It may have been a male thing. I don't know.
Well, real recognizes real.
Yeah. And I asked him, I said, look, I do a podcast. I interview these content creators, blah, 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 blah. He said, dope, let's book it. And then, like I told you earlier, when it was one of the Wednesday night things, and I was like, who is this girl? What is he doing? And I went to watch it, and you guys, were talking about, different social dynamics and things like that. I was like, cool. And that's when I hit you up. But yeah, because you guys don't agree on everything.
No.
By any means. And that's part of the fun part of the show is to watch your reactions. Because my favorite reaction of yours is.
Yeah, I'm like.
Let me, and then you'll say, I'm going to come back to that because that's important, But that's part of it. And you guys can have a healthy disagreement about it. It doesn't have to be, as I call it, a dingling fight, So what would you say is the main thing you guys disagree on?
Honestly, the chicken and beans, I think. I don't know. My cooking, I don't know. He's never had my cooking, so he doesn't know. I would love to have him and his girl over for dinner one day, him and the family. It would be cool to get our families together. It'd be really interesting. I don't know. One of the things I like about him is he provides solutions to things, and I don't know, there's some things I don't agree with him on. I can't think of anything off the top of my head because I like to learn from him just because we have come from different backgrounds. So I like to hear what he says on different topics and kind of be like, okay, well, I like this or no. Like, I know a lot of stuff he says it's for reaction, because I can tell by his face when he's saying whatever. Like, we did a clip about Leo women being terrible parents or something like that, and I was just, he was doing it to, to pick a fight. So it's, it's fun. I like to keep things light, but also to have these important conversations, because I think they matter. I think they're important.
Yeah, I said something the other night. You guys didn't get around to it, but it was either the whole women are dangerous fiasco, or it was never argue with women ever.
I think we touched about never argue with women ever. And he's like, that's right. Don't argue with them. And he said that what you do is you just listen to them talk. And then later, if you don't agree with them, then you say, well, we're going to do this, which is a good way to go about it. Because women generally, when we come and we want to argue with you, we're very emotional, whether we're going to be starting our cycle soon or whatever it is, because we got all the hormones, and our hormones are important because that's how we give you guys beautiful babies. So
not me, I don't want, but I get what you're saying. I get what you're saying. Some people I don't want them now. I don't want them now.
To each their own with kids. Like, I love being a mom. I didn't necessarily think I was going to be a mom, but I am, and I enjoy being a mama. So it's just a good dynamic for now. We're both having fun doing it, so let's do it.
And you just have the one daughter, right?
Yeah, I have a daughter, and my husband's got 2 kids from a previous marriage, but they're grown.
Oh, okay. So you don't plan on
with COVID, I'm not interested. I
don't think so.
I had a very bad experience when I had my daughter with the hospital. They were just absolutely terrible. And our house is so small. Like, I'm blessed that I own a home, but it's like 1,200 square feet, 3-bedroom. And it's just it's small.
Wow.
It's small for 3 people. And then, like, like, we live in a very loud neighborhood. My neighborhood's kind of ghetto. We live in the nicer part of the neighborhood. I just don't, like, we're going to have to, if we stay here, we have to put her in private school, because the schools are terrible.
Do you think, I mean, you're pretty intelligent. Don't you think you could homeschool her, or do you not have time?
I don't want to
Don't want to?
Okay. No. And the reason why, I'll tell you why. I could, but I wouldn't be able to work and homeschool at the same time. It's going to be next to impossible. And also too, she needs to interact with other kids. That's very important, because I don't, if anybody's watching, if you guys homeschool your kids, that's on you. I respect that. I support it. I actually did 2 years of homeschooling when in high school, but I think it's important for me as a mother. It's important for me to have my daughter go and be around other kids, because she is the only child. Maybe if she wasn't an only child, I may reconsider it, but I want her to get out in the real world and to talk to people and experience it and disagree with people and learn. And the only way you're going to do that is when you're out. Like, and just right now, I don't have the time to do it. Like, I need to work, I need to make money, and there's goals and there's different things that I have for myself that I want to do. And it's not that I'm not putting my child first, because my daughter does come first, but in order for me to give her the best quality of life, I need to keep grinding.
Oh, there's no doubt about that. That's imperative. I had both of my parents in my life, but I was with my mom most of the time. She worked 2 and 3 jobs. She was constantly working. I learned how to cook when I was 7 years old, because I had to take care of myself. My dad taught me work ethic. My mom taught me work ethic. That's what I know. And I am never going to denounce anyone, even females, if they want to work, because especially if they're doing really well, because people can say what they want. Money's important. Money's really important. All people had somebody disagree with me the other day about this. I don't care. I said, money, people tell you money won't buy happiness. I said, no, it buys freedom, and freedom is happiness.
Yeah, that is true. It completely does. And people tend to not understand that, because it's a long thing. They don't understand it at all.
Yeah. They were like, well, I've met rich people, and they're miserable, and the more stuff you have, the more miserable. I said, first of all, I didn't say anything about being rich. That's an extension of money. And second of all, I didn't say anything about stuff, because I ain't a stuff person. When I moved back to North Carolina from Atlanta, I had barely anything, and it almost wore me out. I'm like, why do I have so much shit? And I don't. I live in a studio apartment. All my crap is right here. Right. It's 30 by 15, give or take, 28 by 14, something like that.
How many square footage is that? Like 500 or?
I mean, it's maybe. And like I'm not but that's when people come into a conversation without thinking. They come into it with emotion and things like that. So how many more tons? What did I say? 28. Oh, for God's sake. But yeah, that every issue I ever had in my life, I can only speak for me, could have been solved up front and immediately with money that I didn't have at the time.
I agree.
And, so if somebody wants to, yes, children come first, but you got to make sure those kids are taken care of. And as long as you're doing that grind, you're doing that hustle, you're doing everything you can to make sure your kid has a better life. People can look at that the way they want to look at it. I don't give a shit. It's like, you're taking care of your spawn, man. That's important. And you're not going to do it with just love. It takes a little bit of cash too,
No, 100%. But the cool thing is I do get to work from home, which is amazing. And I am very, very thankful for that. So people can say whatever, just homeschooling is not for me. I'm not really that mom.
Yeah. It's 420 square feet. Oh yeah.
Ooh, fancy.
That's right. I don't smoke dope though. Just didn't do anything for me. It did when I was younger.
To each their own.
Yeah, I did
different people like different things.
Now, when I do edibles, or when I did edible, I don't anymore. When I did edibles, man, it took like 2 hours. But when it finally hit me, I was somewhere else. It was the weirdest thing. Everybody responds differently to different substances, I guess. Mm-hmm. But yeah, alcohol was my. Do you drink?
On occasion, not a whole lot.
Yeah, I backed off a whole lot, but yeah, alcohol is very destructive, and
yeah, that's why like sometimes I will have like maybe like once a week, every other week, I'll have like a beer or two. Like it's always at night. It's always like after like my husband's home, like I have somebody that's that's not under the influence, because we have my daughter. I don't want to be under the influence with just her by myself. Like, and even though I'm not like drunk, I just still though. So it's like maybe, and it's like generally during dinner, like I'll start drinking, or if we're having a meal, like I like to have a beer or two, or like a glass of wine or two, but it's never during the day unless like I'm at like a function or whatever. And it's not like a whole lot, just because I used to do it to go too hard.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I know you have your other episode to get to. I'm gonna start winding down. So I wanted to ask you, for those, I know I have a few, at least, listeners who are into crypto and things of that nature. So if they wanted, for people who are interested and have no clue, what's the best way to get started?
For crypto?
Mm-hmm.
The best way to get started, you can do what you want, but I always recommend you go to my YouTube channel, check out my Twitter, see some of the things that I do. On my YouTube channel, I do daily news videos. Sometimes I do project reviews or interviews. You can go back and look at my content. I do a lot of trading education, and my daily news videos, I generally touch on 3 topics that are prevalent to the crypto space, like breaking news. I do a Bitcoin market update. I talk to you where price is going to go, what's happening in the market, and I give my opinion on things. And I'm starting to put out more educational videos, but I never recommend to anybody who's interested in getting into crypto to just buy Bitcoin. I recommend researching it. I recommend understanding the ideology behind it, why it's important. Does this apply to you? Will it improve your quality of life? Should you invest in it? You need to think about those things. Like, I'm not going to tell you to go buy Bitcoin, because a lot of these idiot Bitcoin maximalists will talk about it and say, oh, buy Bitcoin, it solves this, it solves that. Bitcoin doesn't solve shit. It's the person that solves it. It's a tool to use to improve the quality of life depending on what your needs are. So you can go to my website, you can go to my Twitter, to my YouTube. I've got a public Telegram group. It's completely free. You can go and pop in and ask me questions. If you're interested in buying Bitcoin, a lot of people like Voyager, Gemini, or Coinbase, and there's a brand new app called Coins. You can, and crypto.com as well. They're one of my partners. You can go ahead and go download those apps and link it with your bank card and buy cryptocurrency that way. I generally don't recommend people buy altcoins without actually understanding what they do and the importance of it. And it's got to fit with your ideology. I don't recommend investing or buying anything blindly without knowing why you want to do it.
Yep. That's the other thing I like about you. You're so passionate about what you do. It's the greatest thing in the world. You can't just go at things. You can't just go at things willy-nilly if you don't love what you do. And I mean, if someone, you can watch your videos and tell that not only you know what the hell you're talking about, but that you're sincere You're not a bullshitter. You're completely sincere. And when you, like I said, I watched one of your videos the other night, and everything you were saying was making sense. And you seem to be someone that people can trust, and knowing you from, for the past, few months and everything like that, and talking to you here and there, you really know what you're talking about. And I think, honestly, this is just my personal opinion, I think that you would be able to actually move more into the generalized coaching, like I hate to say life coaching, that's such a crappy term, but I think you'd be able to move into, because you dropped some truth bombs today about people getting their shit together and how to handle things, how to handle life. And I think that's something that people could trust you with giving them advice. So you probably want to think about that. We need more women who can do that.
I'll consider it. I mean, I don't really know much about it or how to get started doing it, so I may have to pick your brain for that. Because I like helping people and I do deserve to be compensated for my time. But one thing about me is I won't bullshit you and I won't give you an answer. I'll just say, this is what I think. This is the way how I think you should go about it. Look into these things and then make a choice yourself and come back to me and tell me what you learned. Because if you're telling people you need to do X, Y, and Z, how is that benefiting them?
Right. Exactly. And that's what I do. I try to talk to people from a place of experience. If I haven't experienced it, I can't help them. I can't help them grow their business, but I can help them become a better person. And it translates over in their business and translates to them not coming home and taking it out on their family. So everything improves. It's really more general than people would normally think. They think, oh my God, I can't give people advice. And you can. So that's one of the things I really like about you is your sincerity, your hair and your sincerity.
Love the hair
and eyelashes and ankles and chicken and beans and
yeah, they're showing the ankles off on the porch, twerking with my daughter on my hip on the front porch when my Latino neighbors are across the street bumping the banda. I'm just kidding. Well, maybe.
And while hitting the punching bag.
I box too. Yes.
I love it. I absolutely love it. See, that's that GURRRRRL power hashtag. When do your various episodes air on YouTube?
So every Sunday night at 6 p.m. PST, as I'm in Los Angeles, or PD, whatever the heck. At 6 p.m. on Sunday nights, I live stream. I talk about the Bitcoin market weekly close. I take altcoin requests because I do trade as well sometimes. And then my other episodes are I drop stuff on Monday through Friday, generally anywhere between 10 and 12 p.m. or 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. depending on when it all depends on my daughter, what she needs from me. So it's generally in the in the early afternoon, I go ahead, I drop a daily video. You can go to my channel, you can subscribe, you can set alerts. And I'm actually releasing a new podcast series that's going to be talking about trading. I'm interviewing some of the top traders in the crypto industry. Some of them do Forex, traditional markets, all different type of stuff. But if you're interested in learning more about trading, you can watch that. I don't really give people entries and exits. It's just more like the foundation.
Yeah. And social media, where you at?
Everything is Crypto Wendy O, the TikTok, the Instagram, the Facebook, which I am not on. I am mostly on Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and I am on Instagram sometimes.
That's right. So get out there and follow her at least on Twitter, so you can get your updates about when she's going to be on. If you're interested in crypto, follow her. She tweets a whole lot of stuff about it. There's a whole lot of videos about it. Also go check out our website, Crypto Wendy O. That's an O, not a .com.
I'm updating the website too, and I'm going to be launching a business soon. I'm just trying to figure out some of the specifics, but I'm revamping my website. I'm going to have a complete list of my partners there. And then I probably will offer some sort of like mentoring or like more. I have a marketing company. So if you're a company and you need marketing, consulting, or business development done, especially in customer service, I can definitely help you with that. I am for hire always, depending on what the project is. I'd have to take a look at it. But I'm going to be revamping my website to put out some more of my service. And I also do professional events as well.
Excellent. So I really want to thank you for doing this. I was very psyched when you agreed to do it. So we covered a lot. I'd like to do it again at some point.
Yes.
And just if nothing else, we just shoot the shit. So with that being said, get out there and follow her, especially if you want to learn about this stuff, because it can really be life-changing. So for myself, Jayson the Argonaut, and Crypto Wendy, the lady with the 3-foot eyelashes, we will be seeing you again next time.
Awesome. Thank you.